Big Red Highlights are brought to you by KMOX Radio, the sports voice of St. Louis.
Let's get after him right away, defense. Let's stick it to him in a hurry. Let's just make up our mind we're going to go at him. Let's give our back some running room. Let's get out there and get after him. It's hot out there. It's hot for them, too, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Let's suck it up and gather yourself and relax. Let yourself go.
A dank, gray pregame drizzle welcomed the reconstructed Washington Redskins for the season's first game. A near sellout crowd saw Jackie Smith catch 2 touchdown passes, one each from quarterbacks Jim Hart and Pete Beathard. While the Cardinals played good football, they fell prey to a nemesis that would haunt them for the remainder of the season, the little mistake. Every point Washington scored came as a direct result of a Cardinal turnover. St. Louis played well enough to win, but their miscues proved deadly as the Skins turned a 10-7 halftime deficit into a 24-17 victory. The following Monday night gave a national television audience an indication of the kind of football the Cardinals could play. Head coach Bob Holloway gave Pete Beathard the role of starting quarterback, and he responded by leading a first quarter drive that gave St. Louis a 7-0 lead. This 51-yard pass to John Gilliam set up Sid Edwards' 1-yard plunge. The Cardinal defense met the Jets head-on. On the Cardinals' third possession, Pete Beathard with 3rd and 8 hit elusive John Gilliam for a first down. He kept the drive afloat with another 3rd down completion, this one to Jackie Smith. Two plays later, Smith bowled to the Jets' 4 to set up Sid Edwards' 2nd touchdown of the night. But the Jets bounced back to only trail 17-10 in the 4th quarter. However, a monumental goal line stand assured victory. Jamie Rivers and Larry Wilson stacked up John Riggins on 4th down from the 1. New York tried to come back, but rookie Norm Thompson stopped their last pass, and St. Louis had its first win of the season, 17-10. When the Jets left, the Giants came. New York unveiled their heralded rookie, Rocky Thompson, and he unleashed a 93-yard kickoff return that helped give the Giants a 21-3 second quarter lead. But the Cardinals had a rookie of their own to debut, and streamlined Mel Gray came out with a flashy show of speed and 2 long touchdowns. St. Louis lost 21-20, but the defeat was tempered by the emergence of Mel Gray. The Cardinals next met Norm Van Brocklin's roughhouse Falcons, who were strong favorites. But the defense played brilliantly as Roger Worley's cornerback blitz set up the first touchdown. When MacArthur Lane knocked in for the score, the game was won, but not over. Place kicker Jim Bakken kicked 4 fluid motion field goals, enough to defeat the Falcons by himself, and the defense grabbed off 4 Atlanta passes. This Jerry Stovall interception protected the St. Louis lead, preserving a 26-9 victory. The Cardinals had evened their record at 2 wins, 2 losses. After the Falcon win, the season changed dramatically. The little mistake was compounded by plays that almost worked, plays that missed by inches. The sum was defeat and frustration. Against the Washington Redskins in the season's 5th game, 2 fumbles proved to be decisive. MacArthur Lane exploded into the end zone with as much force as any runner ever, but he didn't have the ball. Against the San Francisco 49ers, Pete Beathard was blindsided. He lost the ball and Tommy Hart found it. 63 yards and a touchdown spelled defeat. The Cardinals were playing good football, but mistakes had them on the skids. It was frustration, total frustration. It seemed as if it were always time for the other team to celebrate. The little mistake had grown into the big mistake. St. Louis was playing too hard, maybe pushing too far. They seemed spooked by weeks past and games lost. But professional athletes have professional pride, and pride holds 40 men together. In 1971, the Big Red defense went through changes and injuries, but the promise was always there. Rookie Ron Yankowski, number 78, crashed into the starting lineup, and he may even have surprised himself by doing so. He played his rookie year the way a lot of veterans would like to play. Number 70, Rolf Kruger, teamed with Yankowski to give the Cardinals a solid wall on the left side. The 8 seasons of experience of Chuck Walker, number 79, helped hold the defense together. Number 75, Bob Rowe, plugged up the defensive tackle spot with his usual aggressiveness. Number 74, Fred Herron, used great speed to track down anyone near him with a football in his hands. Joe Schmeezing, number 82, rounded out the defensive line. Number 67, Larry Stallings, again displayed all of the abilities which have made him a consistently superior linebacker. Jamie Rivers picked up where he left off in 1970 to continue his phenomenal growth at middle linebacker. Two men saw considerable action on the right side. Number 56, Mike McGill, showed excellent range. First-year man Rick Ogle, number 52, was one of only a few rookies in the NFL to start at linebacker. The defensive backfield was hit hard by injury, but rookie Norm Thompson, number 43, the Cardinals' first-round draft choice, stayed healthy and developed his skills at cornerback with surprising quickness. This face belongs to Miller Farr. While a close-checking pass defender, he is best known for his upending tackles. Number 22, Roger Worley, was an All-Pro last year. This year, because of injuries to teammates, he was forced to play 2 positions, as was Larry Wilson. But he is one of the best defensive backs in the game. His winding punt returns gave the offense good field position. For 9 years, Jerry Stovall has been a stalwart. This season, like last, he was slowed by injury, but his inspiration was felt by all. Jerry formally retired at season's end after a brilliant career, and his shoes will be hard to fill. Dale Hackbart, number 49, came to the Cardinals this year from Minnesota and showed that he could hit just as hard in St. Louis. This interception snapped Roger Staubach's streak of 134 consecutive passes without an interception. Any team in football would give a great deal to have this man. Larry Wilson has had one of the most dazzling careers in the history of the NFL. As always with Larry Wilson, his actions say all that need be said. The Cardinals traveled to Buffalo for their 7th game, and the Big Red defense held on long enough for the offense to do its job. Early in the game, Jim Hart hit Roy Shivers to set up MacArthur Lane's short touchdown. The Cardinals had a 14-0 first quarter lead, but the Bills scored on a tipped pass, and St. Louis was again in the position of having to overcome mistakes or lose. This time, they overcame convincingly. Jim Hart hit Yankee Smith with a 10-yard touchdown for a 21-9 third quarter lead. Then Hart threw to Jim McFarland for the Cardinals' final score and a 28-23 victory. For quarterback Jim Hart, 1971 was not a satisfying year, but it was a year when the 6-year veteran performed admirably under stress. Pete Beathard, who shared the quarterback spot with Hart, also executed well under pressure. Both quarterbacks were able to help develop a potentially explosive offense that was aided to a large degree by an excellent offensive line, which has always been a St. Louis trademark. Wayne Mulligan, Tom Banks, Irv Goody, Clyde Williams, Dan Deerdorf, Ernie McMillan, and Bob Reynolds. They allowed Cardinal quarterbacks to be trapped only 19 times this season, an all-time Cardinal record. The line also opened holes for the running backs. Number 36, MacArthur Lane, was the Cardinals' leading rusher for the 2nd straight year. He dazzled enemy tacklers with his skill. He also finished 1971 as the Cardinals' 2nd leading pass receiver. Sid Edwards appears to be shot out of a cannon when he runs. He attacks the defense with wide open, straight ahead, honest power. Johnny Rowland was again a key man in the Cardinal backfield and frequently kept drives alive with his seemingly effortless runs. This year, utility back Roy Shivers, number 27, set a record by having 2 knee operations in the span of 1 season. John Gilliam has become one of the premier receivers in the NFL, and he has reached that status by blending raw, flat-out speed with magnificent agility. He caught 42 passes for 837 yards. Injury forced Yankee Smith out of the last 5 games, and by his standards, he did not have a good year. But his standards are pretty high. Many still consider him the best tight end in the business. Dave Williams remains a flamboyant receiver with a knack for picking open spaces. The entire Cardinal offense was overshadowed in 1971, though, by this man, Mel Gray, the Big Red Rookie of the Year. He has a future that is almost frightening. There's nothing fancy about Mel Gray, nothing dressed up or disguised. He can crack a defense with the speed and precision of an all-pro. He opened up defenses with his pass patterns and then closed them down with his runs. But his most spectacular contribution was as a kickoff return man, returning 30 kicks for a staggering 740 yards. Larry Willingham, number 33, was another rookie kickoff returner who added spark to the special teams and has bright promise as a defensive back. He was another to be sidelined by injury. Chuck Latterette again handled the Big Red punting and, as usual, brought along his own special brand of excitement. The spotlight focused on Jim Bakken frequently in 1971, and he performed well, clicking on 21 of 32 field goals. St. Louis began the second half of its season with a game against the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys. Bakken kicked 2 field goals, and Dave Williams hauled down a Jim Hart pass in a back-and-forth game that saw the score tied with under 2 minutes remaining. But the Cowboys' Tony Fritsch snaked through a 26-yard field goal to give Dallas a 16-13 win. The following Monday night, the Cardinals were in San Diego, and the first half was marked by some outstanding play by Miller Farr. MacArthur Lane applied pressure to the Charger defense early in the first quarter, and St. Louis jumped into a 7-0 lead with a pass from Jim Hart to Jim McFarland. But one of the strange plays that had haunted the Big Red all year occurred when Hart aimed a pass at Jackie Smith. Jeff Queen scored from short range, and with time running out, the Chargers were ahead 17-10. The Big Red came back, and with 17 seconds left, Sid Edwards went up and over, and the Cardinals had a tie. St. Louis elected to try an onside kick in a bold attempt to win the game, but the Chargers recovered. And with 3 seconds left, Dennis Partee launched a 45-yard shot that gave San Diego a victory over a hustling Cardinal team that had chosen not to settle for a tie. Philadelphia head coach Ed Kayat brought his New Life Eagles to St. Louis the following week And rookie George Huey thrilled the local fans with a blazing 103-yard kickoff return, getting blocking help from Jim Hargrove, a promising young Cardinal linebacker. But the Eagles capitalized on Cardinal mistakes and left town with a 37-20 victory. The next week, St. Louis took the field in Yankee Stadium in an attempt to beat the Giants for the first time since 1968. The defense intercepted the Giants' first 3 passes of the game, and Jim Hart gave St. Louis an early lead with this pass to John Gilliam. Then Larry Stallings followed up a Jim Bakken field goal with this super effort. With less than 7 minutes elapsed in the first quarter, the St. Louis lead had ballooned to 17-0. Larry Wilson, the Cardinals' all-time interception leader, picked off his second late in the game, and Jim Hart was on target for 2 quick plays. First, he hit Mel Gray for a 35-yard pickup. Then John Gilliam caught Hart's pass to close out the scoring and give St. Louis an impressive, quick-striking 24-7 win. The Green Bay Packers came to town the following week and got a good look at Mel Gray, who gave the Cardinals what appeared to be a comfortable 16-13 lead with less than a minute left in the game. The Cardinals recovered a fumble on the ensuing kickoff, and victory seemed assured. But St. Louis was unable to run out the clock as the Packers squeezed 5 plays into the remaining time. Tim Webster's 27-yard field goal with 3 seconds left gave St. Louis a frustrating tie. The Cardinals tried for revenge against the Eagles the following week, but were thwarted. Number 88, Fred Hyatt, subbing for injured Jackie Smith, played well, but Mel Gray provided the only real offensive spark with this 80-yard touchdown. But the Eagles won 19-7. The red-hot Dallas Cowboys hosted the St. Louis Cardinals in the season's last game, and the Dallas defense proved to be too strong. A long, nervous season had ended, and perhaps these sad Cardinal eyes best tell the story of a season of frustration. For head coach Bob Holloway, his first season did not turn out the way he had hoped. Injuries more than decimated his team. Fully 1/4 of the squad had knee operations. But Bob Holloway knows that injuries are part of the game, part of the past, and must be endured. His eyes are on 1972. But in looking back, he will remember that the Cardinals played the game with their hearts, and he will find comfort in that. The surest sign of a loser is the inability to profit from defeat. When the Cardinals take the field in 1972, they will have learned a great deal from 1971. They are not losers, but winners holding all the pieces of a puzzle, looking for the best way to put them together.